What's going on? How you guys doing? Let me know if you can hear me okay in the chat room again. Uh, not we did a little test stream earlier, but I want to make sure that everyone can hear me okay. The background music's okay. I know there's going to be a little bit of delay, and I'm not sure. I got to figure. Again, first time streaming on YouTube, we're probably going to have some hiccups, so bear with us. I say us, but me today. But first time on YouTube, it's a little nerve wracking. I was talking to my buddy Captain and saying it's been a long time since I felt a little nervous before a stream. So, because I had to create a whole new instance in OBS because I didn't want to I wanted to have its own thing, and so I had to put all the filters back in, all that fun stuff. All the stuff that we tend to take for granted. After it's all set, you forgot about it. So glad to hear that things are going good. So today is I got turned down on my end. You guys are fine. I just wanted to make sure that everything is working good. You guys can hear. So that's good. So everything works. And YouTube's a little bit different in terms of everything else. It's definitely a different setup. But the first time streaming, it's the MGD Real Talk podcast. Maybe the name will change. I don't know. I kind of threw like everything we've ever done into the name. I was like, it's MGD. I wasn't going to call it the Mighty Real Talk podcast. It would just sound really weird. So I just put MGD Real Talk podcast. But we might end up changing the name again. We're just the first one. Bringing the podcast back into play. We're going to be doing some interviews. We're going to be, next week, Captain's going to be joining us. We're going to have some serious discussions talking about things that matter. And if you don't know, like, obviously we stream on Twitch, which you can find me there at Mighty Gamer Dad. And, but that's a whole different ball game. That's random banter. There's a whole bunch of nonsense that happens there. But today we're going to be have more serious discussions. And I thought we just look back and reflect on basically the past year or so. The MGS Mighty Real Talk Show podcast extravaganza. Yeah, it's a whole mouthful, isn't it? It's a whole mouthful indeed. So we're gonna review back the course of the last year. Plus, we've been streaming for quite a while now. My first stream was back in 2019. Of course, I knew nothing of what I was doing at that point in time. I was streaming from a console. I had my PS4, and it had the you could go live, and it would actually automatically upload to YouTube. So I actually spent a little time earlier just deleting those old live streams. I know they had no value. There was absolutely zero value to those videos. I mean, half of them were bad, like horrible. I know you probably wanted to see them, but we ended up deleting them all because we're focusing now more on algorithm, which is why I got rid of them. So rather than completely start a whole new channel, just get rid of the nonsense, focus on what's going to matter. And this channel is going to be more for that. We're going to be streaming every single week on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about a wide variety of topics. So I know, wifey. No, it was bad. Like, even my audio sounded terrible. I was like listening to someone going, oh. But that's one of the things we're going to talk about, especially for those that haven't quite gotten into streaming just yet, that are kind of just dabbling in it, and those that have even been around a while. Maybe it's going to be a little refresher course. But we're going to talk about the realities and expectations within your first year of streaming. And like I said, I started streaming back in 2019, off and on. It was at that time, it was more of a hobby. And it just really wasn't important. It wasn't even anything that I wanted to do. I had zero aspirations at that time to make anything of it. I was just like, I guess I can go live. And a couple people that I would play with on those games would hop in every once in a while and talk with me. But for the most part, I was doing like some other streamers that we've seen before. I was just playing a game. I wasn't paying attention to anyone hardly in chat. I was focused on the game. So, flash forward a little bit, maybe about a year. Sometime in a little early of 2020, maybe even like January, I started kind of dabbling in streaming again. But again, didn't really take it seriously. It wasn't until the pandemic, right around March and April, that's when kind of gears started shifting because, a lot of us lost our jobs for the most part for quite a while. And so there was this moment of what do I do? I'm still working, but I have all this free time. And so, there was this fear of not being able to control my future. So I started playing video games, playing Call of Duty, which I'm amazing at. No, I'm not. I'm really not. And thought, well, we're going to make it big as a Call of Duty streamer because, I can shoot people in their face. That was the mentality that, I had going into this. I was just like many other people thinking that I was going to become a big time streamer by streaming my video games. The reality ended up being a lot harder and a much better. Even though it was harder, I have to say that the journey that we've gone through has been far more rewarding than I anticipated. I'm definitely not even doing anything remotely close to what I even thought I was going to be doing. So yes, during the pandemic, having a fear that you're going to lose your job was kind of the turning point for me. But again, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. I thought, okay, I'm just going to play some video games. We're going to play on stream. We're going to hang out and talk with people. We're going to make a bunch of friends. We're going to advertise it on Facebook because at the time I started actually streaming on Facebook. And a bunch of people are going to follow them. We're going to make it big within like several months. It's going to be amazing. We're going to blow up. I think we can do some funny stuff. Yeah. That's not how it works. It's not how it worked at all. First several streams, dead. I had one person watching, and I think most of the time it was me on my phone. You've all done it. We've all been there. Every new streamer has like their phone up on the side, try to log into a different account just so they get that one view. Everyone's done it at some point. This is before, you realize that the views don't really matter and the content does. And we're going to get through a lot more of the specifics as we go. Just kind of sharing a little bit of the backstory of what got me to where I am now. So we played some games, realized far too late than it was that we didn't really enjoy Call of Duty. We were just playing the game because it was popular. And even to this day, Call of Duty is still the game that is unusually popular for how kind of a bad game that it is. We started dabbling in other games, and then it was around September. We're really like, okay, I don't really want to just play games anymore. Like, I feel like we started seeing different opportunities open up. I started looking into Twitch. I started looking at YouTube as viable opportunities because I was struggling with some things on Facebook, right? Like, there were some issues. There were some issues on Facebook that just became a struggle. And we wanted to kind of try to get our hands on it. I grew my Facebook page on there to like 5,000 followers, but getting people to watch and stick around was one of the hardest things I found on Facebook. And one of the bigger drawbacks was the notification system didn't always work. We had some issues. And so we decided to look into Twitch. Now we've been networking and talking with a few people, and we've got a little bit of a viewer base at this point. And moved over to Twitch, and while Twitch has its problems, Twitch has its issues with the live streaming, it was a turning point for me to where I was like, okay, I think we can do this. I think we can actually make something of this. The growth on Twitch has been steady, and the journey, honestly, has just been really, really just tremendous. Learned so much over the course of the first year, as many people will. But for the majority of people out there, honestly, this is only ever going to be a hobby. And for a variety of reasons. Like, we've talked about this many times on in the past, and we did it periodically on the stream on Twitch as well. But for those here kind of tuning in today, for the majority of people, this is only ever going to be a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this only ever being a hobby. But there are those that actually want to do more. And you have to determine whether or not you want to pursue more or you want to keep it as a hobby, because the expectations and the requirements change depending on what you want to do. If you want to do more, you want to be bigger, you want to have more people, viewing your streams, you want to grow and become a better streamer, then there's a lot more that's going to be required of you. If you just want to go live and whoever happens to hop into your stream, hops into your stream and you're cool with that, that's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being a hobby streamer. But understand that if you want to do more, you're going to have to do more. It's not going to come easily. One of the main things I think I want to address immediately, because despite what you might read on the internet and various other websites and a lot of the places that want to have you pay money to come in and tell you all the secrets, there's no secret. There's no secrets to growth. There's none. There are no secrets to growth. You know what it is? It's time and effort. It's time and effort. You want to grow? You got to put the time in. You got to put the effort in. And when I say effort, I mean more than streaming. Okay? You have to do more than just stream. Streaming is not effort at all. Streaming is one of the easiest parts of what you do as a streamer. It's not even the hard part. It is very easy to click go live, and well, this is a little bit harder, talking with everyone and having conversations, but that's effort. There was effort put in. Without that effort, I would just go live and just stare at a screen and be like, what do I talk about? Trust me, I've had those days. But it's for those that do gaming. Going live is not the effort. Effort means expanding your ideas, trying new things, improving your content to make it something that people want to watch. They want to see. That's effort. And that's probably at the very basic level. It's a lot of work that goes into growing a stream. The second thing, time. Really just patience. Being patient with the process. Sticking to it and being consistent, which we're going to get even deeper into that a little bit later in the show on this. Don't underestimate the power of networking either. In fact, networking and relate, or as I call it, relationship building, because I think, most of what you should focus on is really kind of building relationships. Because people think networking and think, oh, I'm just going to drop my link in a bunch of different Discords and on Twitter and do this. That's not networking. That's spamming. There's a difference. When we talk about networking, we're talking about relationship building. And don't underestimate the power of relationship building. The relationships that you build early on and are very, very important. And it impacts the overall growth over time. It's not even probably, to me, it's an absolute necessity to your growth. If you're not actively networking, you're not going to grow. Like, you can try to spin it any other way you want to, but if you're not actively networking, especially early on, and if you want to grow as a beginner streamer, or even as an intermediate streamer, you think I still don't network? I absolutely do. Networking is a little bit different for me now. It's not as difficult as it was. I can tell you that now. A year into it, it's gotten a lot easier. And for those of you that are antisocial or have like anxiety with talking with other people, this is a skill you have to develop. That goes right back up to effort. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort to develop your skill set. And your weakest areas may have to be worked on. So if you don't like to talk to people, guess what? This might not be the industry for you if you don't want to change it. Because if you think you can grow in this industry without networking or building relationships, you're out of your mind. I've made amazing friends and amazing relationships, some of which are really close, some of which are, acquaintances. But I've met a lot of people and networked with a lot of people in this industry, some of which have become really good friends to this day. Some of which are in this chat room. Wifey, Westfall, Captain, all of which were found through networking, building relationships. And I've met a ton more that God, I can't even count the amount of people I've met doing this. But it goes back once again to effort. One thing you have to, I'd say one thing, but there's going to be a lot of things you have to think about. The main thing I think you have to focus on in the beginning is understand that slow growth is inevitable. There's no instant rise to success for the majority of people. You might hear about the one or two that just blew up overnight, but that is few and far between and probably never going to happen to you. Slow growth is almost an inevitable thing. And even then, growth is often not even noticeable at the start. You might not even realize that there's growth potential there. You just see what feels like stagnation. But when we talk about growth is often a compounding effect. And even though it's like a very minute movement, you're still moving forward. And in the beginning, it can be really, really frustrating to deal with a very slow moving forward movement. Especially in like terms of views, in terms of growing your stream and trying to get followers. That's where it becomes really hard not to focus on just the numbers. And we're going to talk about how to overcome those a little bit later again in the show. But slow growth is going to almost always be inevitable. Embrace it. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with your stream. Which, of course, is probably going to be one of the hardest things for you to do. Because being patient with yourself and the growth of your stream, it's one of the reasons why most people never make it past the hobby stage. They give up long before they really have the opportunity to see the growth actually come through. They're like, I haven't seen growth, in the first week. I'm gonna exaggerate on this a little bit too. They're so focused on the numbers and they don't see a forward movement that they feel like they're doing something wrong, when a lot of times they might be doing something right. And when then they stop doing those actions, which actually hurts them in the long run, which then in turn creates a backwards movement in their progress. The most important thing you can do in the beginning, as was basically just shared in the chat room, have fun. Have fun with the process. And understand that it's going to be a slow process. Now, if you're like 6 years into this and you're still at one viewer, yeah, maybe it's time to really evaluate some things. And again, you should probably start reevaluating at that year mark. If you haven't really moved in 6 months to a year, then it's really starting time to kind of evaluate things. But progress is going to be different for every single person. I've seen people that have grown tremendously fast in the start and then eventually slow down. I've seen people that was really slow to start and just eventually ramped up. It is different for a lot of different people, and you're going to have a lot to learn through this. Understand you're also not going to be the greatest when you start. You're going to probably be pretty bad at it. To be fair, you're probably going to suck, if to put it a little bit more bluntly. But the thing is, no one's good. No one's good when they get started. You're gonna mess up. You're gonna screw things up along the way. You're gonna have your mic muted through 90% of your first streams. It's gonna happen. It's just one of those things that it's almost like a badge of honor in this industry, that if you haven't spent majority of your beginning days struggling through the tech issues and messing things up and working through the kinks of your stream, then you haven't really put a whole lot of effort into your stream. We'll just be honest. I've definitely had streams where I was muted. In fact, I had to create an entire alert because of it. Because it still happens. We're over a year into this. Still happens. The alert exists for that reason. To let me know, hey, you're on the wrong scene, you dummy. Or, hey, we can't hear you, you big goof. Like, these are things that exist for a reason, because no matter when you start, you're going to mess it up. And understand you're not going to be the greatest, even at content creation. And when I say content creation as a whole, I'm talking about personality. knowing really how to engage with people on stream and make entertaining content. And even then, I'm still figuring things out a year into this, taking the next steps, trying to figure out what's the next thing we can do. But there's a difference between pro streamer. Yes, wifey. It's wifey shares my exclamation point pro streamer in the chat room. Embrace that you're going to mess up. Don't put so much focus on the fact that you're screwing up, because the reality is you're going to have a lot of opportunities to fix and grow. If you mess up one stream, your career's not over. If you're muted and through the majority of one stream, your career's not over. Just fix it, learn from it, move forward. And as you know, that those are the moments that really kind of help you kind of push you forward, because your content must evolve through all this, right? Your content must evolve and grow if you really, really wish to succeed. Nobody's a great contenter from the start. You have to practice. You got to step outside your comfort zone. You got to try new things. You got to do things that, you might not have done. Like, we were talking about it earlier on the Twitch stream, right? For those that are here, that were there for the earlier show, we kind of talked about, I'm doing things now on stream that a year ago I never would have done. I would have been completely outside of my element. But growth is not always making like huge drastic changes over at once. It's usually over time. You slowly get comfortable in one area and you push the boundaries a little bit more, and you evolve and you grow and you become a better content creator. I'm way more engaging now than I was a year ago. I have a video that I play on my stream on Twitch before that shows you just that. I'm like monotone, barely into playing the game. I'm so not even animated. And I shared it for a reason, because I'm like, this is the progress we've made over the course of the last year. We're growing as a content creator. I'm excited to see where I'm at a year from now, 3 years from now. I'm excited to see what is going to happen and how this is going to grow, because I've learned to enjoy the process. I've learned to enjoy the journey while still trying to improve what I do. I'm always stepping outside my comfort zone. I'm always trying new things. And when I say try new things, and we're going to get to this a little bit later too, and I know I keep saying that, I'm not saying you need to be doing everything. When I say try new things, I'm saying expand your horizons a little bit. Because doing the same thing over and over and over again, if all you did was play Call of Duty, we didn't really do anything but just play Call of Duty, you're not really evolving. I'm not saying you can't play Call of Duty and be a great streamer, because there are definitely some streamers out there that do really, really well playing those games. Some of them are not even that good at it. Tim the Tatman does really, really well playing Call of Duty and those first-person shooters as a not really good player. And that's what kind of draws him in there. You got to find your place. Keep in mind also that your stream will most likely change within your first year. Your idea from when you started to, gosh, how much has this stream changed? We're now on YouTube, which is like, we came back to YouTube after like 2 years, but this is the first time we've streamed on YouTube. Things will evolve. Your stream is going to change over the course of the year, sometimes extremely drastically. You might realize 3 months in, you don't like what you're doing. You're not getting fulfillment out of it. You don't feel passionate about it. You're not enjoying the process anymore. You just feel like you're going through the motions. And so you want to make a change. You realize, I want to do more. That's where I was at, about 4, 5, 6 months into streaming for me back in 2020. Was I didn't want to just play Call of Duty. I felt like I had more value to give than just playing a video game. I wanted to do more than just play a video game. And it took the better part of the next year to really kind of work those kinks out, to figure out where that path is going to go. We kind of dabbled in some things. We started stepping outside our comfort zone. We started one talk show in the evening for an hour, which was basically what this is, just the really early rendition of it. we did some talks, and we would bring some people in here and there, and we learned from it. And then we're like, what if we do a morning show? And the scariest thing for me was I don't know if can I keep up with content? Am I going to be able to think about something to talk about every single day? 4 days a week. Now twice a day on a couple of those days. The thing is you figure it out. As you grow, you'll get better with what you're doing, and you will figure things out. If you put yourself in discomfort, you will either adapt or fail. And there's nothing wrong with failing. I know that nobody wants to fail, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. You will either adapt or you will fail. And if you fail, you're going to learn from it. And you're going to figure it out, and you can either try again, which again just evolves into adapting. Or you just try something new. So your stream will most likely change within your first year. Also, keep in mind, and this is coming as a graphic designer, as a designer of over 20 years, your overlays and your logo is not nearly as important as you think it is, especially if you're in the beginning. You don't need it. You can literally write your name in cursive and put it on the side of the screen, and that's good enough to start out. You know what's more important? Content. Content matters more than your visual logo design or how flashy your stream is. The quality of your content should be where you put your time and effort within your first 6 months. Once you start figuring things out from there, then you can maybe start adding some more to your design. Because I'm not saying that design doesn't matter, because we all know that it does. But it doesn't matter as much as you think it does. I've talked to, at this point, hundreds of brand new streamers who all want brand new, high-end logos. And what's up, Mr. Obvious? Thank you for joining in. They all want these high-end logos, flashy stuff, and I'm like, how long have you been streaming? Oh, I just started. Not really ready for this. One, I'm accustomed. You can start out basic. Start out basic. Figure your content out. Your content matters more than your damn logo. I'm going to tell you that. And this is coming from someone that's my business. My business is to design logos. I design logos and overlays and everything for content creators all the time. It's not as important when you first start as you think it is. But I know that everyone goes to stages like they want to appear better. They want to appear professional. You want to appear professional? Focus your time on making your camera look the best that it can. Make sure your audio is good. That quality matters, not your logo. The quality of your stream, the visual, how people see it, the colors, is it clear? Do you have proper lighting? Those are things that, and those are things you might have to work on over time. That matters. People want to come in, they want to be invited. They're like, wow, that looks really, really good. It looks really crispy clean. That matters. People are going to watch you. They're going to look at you. They want to be able to see you nice and clean. At the same time, your audio needs to sound good. If you have a buzzing and you have fans and you got kids yelling all the time, you're not going to get a whole lot of... I know that some people can't really control that. I realize that some people can't really control some of those outside parameters, but your audio matters. And I have some tips and things that we can do in our Discord where I can share with you, how you can update those things. The other thing is your content, the quality and the value of your content. What do you bring to the table that is different than the probably thousands upon thousands of other streamers that are out there that are doing the same thing that you are? What do you bring to the table? Are you funny? Are you, extremely witty? Are you a great gamer? Like, what is it that you can hone in on and take care of? I'm extremely passionate about helping people. I'm also a weirdo, which I've embraced later in life. And so I utilize my strengths as my focal points and allow everything else to kind of come into play with the streams. I don't play games because it's not my strong suit. Could I make it my strong suit? Yes. I also don't have the time to do that. I'm not going to play games hours on end. My butt hurts as it is. It's not going to happen. I would rather focus my time on bringing things of value to my stream. And you have to figure out what that is going to be for you. What do you bring to the table? Then once your content is better, once you actually have a decent amount of people starting to come back, you got the community growing, then worry about your design. But right out the bat, within your first couple months, not really necessary. Wait until you kind of got a good foothold of what you want to do, where you want to go. And sometimes it may be longer than a year before you really figure things out. I'm not even saying you're going to figure shit out in the first year, because you're probably not. I'm still trying to figure things out. And we've been streaming now for, like I said, we started 2 years ago. We really started doing it more seriously back in March of 2020. So we're going on almost 2 years. I mean, it's going to sneak up on us. March is going to be here before we know it. So some things that you should really think about, and some pitfalls. One of which I know so many people do. Stop chasing shiny objects. And what I mean by this is you don't need to do everything. You don't need to do everything, especially if it's working for other streamers. Carve your own path. Stick with it. Be consistent. Most people I know simply try something, and if it doesn't immediately get results, they discard it and never actually revisit it again to see if it actually works. If they don't get immediate results, most people just can the idea, which is why most people can strail. Most people struggle and they fail. It's because they don't give it enough. They don't give it enough time. They don't give it enough time to really make things work, and they don't make it their own. I can't even tell you how many people I've seen that dress up looking like Dr. Disrespect. It's not nearly as many as it could be, but I'm like, you got to do it yourself. Make your own version of this. I'm very adamant on trying to carve my own path in this industry. So, focus on one or two things and get good at doing them. You can't do everything. So know that. Trying to do everything will lead to burnout and frustration. Get good at doing one or two things. The top, and then we've shared this before. If you look at the top streamers have a team that help them do things. They help them with content. They help them with making videos. They have things that because even at the top level, they don't have time to do everything. What makes you think you starting out, where you're probably working a full-time job, you're probably taking care of kids, you're probably doing all this other stuff with like family, think that you yourself is going to be able to do everything that the top streamers are saying you need to do in order to succeed all by yourself? You're not. It's a wake-up call right there. You're not going to. Instead, focus on one or two things that you absolutely need to do beyond just hitting go live. That doesn't count. Beyond just hitting the go live button, focus on one or two things and get really good at doing it. Make it a habit, because once it becomes easy, then you can add other things. Most people come in and they're like, well, I need to learn how to do video editing. I need to learn how to make thumbnails. I need to be able to, set up my own audio, and I got to, run my Twitter and social media and TikToks and YouTubes and all. It's too much. It's too much. No one does all of that on their own. They have a team. I know at the beginning stages, you won't have the luxury of doing that with a team, because most people won't be able to afford it. And that's the reality of that. You won't be able to afford it. But you know what? All it means is you have to do a little extra work, put a little extra effort, and maybe you have to cut back on some of the things, because a lot of people think that they have to stream 6, 7, 8 hours a day. You don't. If you need to cut back on your streaming time to put in effort, and here's the thing. I'm going to say this too, and it's something that Captain Redbeard and I myself have talked about. When we talk about video editing, it's really to grow the other platforms. It's not to grow the platform that you're on. We're gonna be honest there. There's a lot of miscommunication and misinformation that goes out there. It says, well, you need to be on TikTok. You need to be on YouTube. Yeah, it's great to have different options, because if you're putting all of your eggs in the Twitch basket or putting all your eggs in the YouTube basket, you may not necessarily grow as fast. But if you put some focus on one or two, one of them might move a little bit faster. The likelihood that you're going to pull people from Twitch over to YouTube, it's small. Will it happen? Yes. It'll happen every once in a while, especially if you're very adamant on call to actions, things like that. But like pulling YouTube people over to Twitch, not going to happen very much. Pulling people from TikTok to Twitch, not going to happen as often as you think. But you can grow your TikTok. You can have a following there, make advertisements, do things like that, and actually have fun and build a community on different platforms. That's what you're doing when you're actually building and doing this. It's one of the reasons why we decided to go live here, because I was talking with my friend, Captain Redbeard. I was like, I don't have time to edit videos that I was trying to take from my Twitch stream, edit down, spending 4, 6, 8 hours editing a video to put on YouTube. I'm like, why don't we just, and he's like, why don't you just go to YouTube and stream it? Then you only have to do 1 hour. I'm like, it's fucking brilliant. I have a growing team now. I have my own little team that's slowly helping me think about the things I haven't really thought about. You look thumbnails for me on Pipeline? Nice, Mr. Alvarez. Well, welcome from Pipeline. Pipeline's it's a great resource, but a lot of people think that Pipeline is their answer to success, and it is a tool. Like many other things, it is just a tool that you use, and if you utilize it properly, you will get great results from it. But Pipeline alone is not going to make you successful. It's not. In fact, just so you know, Mr. Alvis, I'm actually going to be doing a thumbnail boot camp in Pipeline in a couple weeks. A more advanced version, getting a little bit more into details and showing. And a couple weeks before, I'm going to have you guys put in a request, send me some samples and stuff, and I'm going to actually make your thumbnails for you, for a couple people, on right inside of it. So that's coming up in a few weeks in November. But moving on, burnout, ladies and gentlemen, is a real thing. If you try to do everything all at once, if you try to do everything that these top streamers are telling you need to be doing, you're going to experience burnout. And burnout is real, and it happens a lot more than you think. I've experienced it. Captain's experienced it. I guarantee that Westfall's experienced it. Mr. Obvious, I'm sure you've even experienced it. But burnout happens to those that don't give themselves time. Like I said before, you can't do everything, and because of this, you also have to understand that you cannot try and do everything. You can't try to do everything either. You have to give yourself time for yourself. You have to give yourself time to think. You have to give yourself time to just de-stress, go work out. I say this, but I do it on stream. To eat, to spend time with your family, to do things that are important, because your time is the only thing you cannot get back. It is the one fundamental thing that you will spend and never get a return on it. You will never get refunded your time. So try to make sure that you're balancing your time properly. If you are over streaming, you're streaming all the time, you're doing all this stuff, you're going to burn yourself out. And what's ultimately going to happen, it's going to affect your mood, your emotions, your mental state, your physical state, and it's going to impact your streams. It's going to negatively impact your streams because you're trying to do too much and you're not balancing your time and you're not taking care of yourselves. You're going to be moody. You're gonna get a little bit more irritable. I've been there. Captain's seen it. I've been there. And it's going to negatively impact your stream. You're going to be doing yourself a disservice by trying to do everything and leading yourself to burnout. So take your time, balance things out. And I remember I asked this question a while ago. I think it was on Twitter, but something we share here. If you knew that in 4 years 3 or 4 years, we'll say 4 years. In 4 years' time, you're guaranteed to succeed. You're guaranteed to be going full-time as a streamer. You're going to have an income. Your family's taken care of. You can afford a new house, all that stuff. You knew that in 4 years. But the difference is you're told you have to do all of these things consistently with no return. You won't see any of that until year 4. You won't see any of it. But year 4, you're guaranteed to do it. Would you go through all of that time with no return on investment? No money, little views, all of the nonsense that most people go through. Would you subject yourself to that sort of torture, that pain, that learning experience, knowing that on year 4 you were guaranteed a success? And I asked this before, and most people were like, absolutely, 100% yes. The reason why is because there was a guarantee. But they're unwilling to work for it because it's not. Most people give up long before because there isn't. The thing is if you actually did everything that was required of you to grow, which we're getting really close to getting to that, you would see a lot more success, a lot more growth earlier on. You wouldn't have to wait till year 4. But most people really start to get to those higher levels later in those years. Year 2, year 3, year 4. That's when the growth happens. Look at Stone Mountain 64. He just hit like a couple, was something ridiculous, like 4 million followers, maybe 2 million. I don't remember what it was, but it took him 10 years to get there. 10 years. But everyone looks at this, all these top streamers like, oh my God, you got 10 million followers. And they want to do it right away. Not realizing that was a decade of work. That was a decade of constant, of creating content, putting out videos, sharing information, building, networking, all that. It takes time. It takes time to build. The other thing you'll learn within your first year, if you haven't figured it out by now, most people don't care about your. Let me rephrase this. Most people don't care about whether or not you succeed. They only care, only you will. Now, I'm gonna say this again. Most people do not care whether or not you succeed. Only you do. Now, most people will say they care, but in truth, they care when you succeed, not if. Now, there's going to be a select few people that, like friends, things, close friends, that truly want to see you succeed. And we're kind of not putting them in there. But the majority of people don't give a shit if you succeed or not. They don't care when you succeed. They'll celebrate with you if you succeed, but they're not going to necessarily root for you the entire time. That's just a normal thing. You will celebrate with someone, but you don't care if someone succeeds. You care when someone succeeds. And that's the majority of people, unless they're your really close friends. Most of my close friends, I do care if they succeed. But a random person I'm just finding, I don't give a shit. And most people won't. Most people that come into your community are not going to be your best friends right away, if at all. The majority of people out there will not give a shit whether or not you succeed. So the onus of success is really dependent on you. Are you willing to do the work? Yep, Mr. Elvis. So for those, because this is eventually going to go over to a podcast. For those that are, there's a pause. I was reading someone's comment, and he says, it's not my first business to start. I'm a martial arts trainer and started a martial arts academy from scratch and started seeing profit in year 5. This, again, as we talked about, there's no secrets to growth or anything like that, but the commonalities across the board happen in every industry. Whether you're in a restaurant, whether you own a martial arts studio, they say that if you don't turn a profit within like your first 3 years, that's not what it is. Most restaurants don't turn a profit in their first 3 years. That's what I remember hearing. But even then, turning a profit, it's dedication and time and passion and doing things that you love, regardless of the setbacks. Knowing that at some point, things will turn around if you do the right things. But again, doing equals action. You have to actually do something. In this industry, just going live doesn't mean you're going to grow. And that's something that we're going to make sure that it's very, very, very clear from the get-go. Don't fall into the traps of riding people's coattails either. I know there's other people that they see other people succeeding to try to get really close to them in hopes that by association they're going to grow faster. It doesn't work that way. You can literally be friends with Stone Mountain 64. No one's going to give two shits about you. Okay? So, you got to create your own path. You got to find your own path. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, if you were playing games with Stone Mountain, will some byproducts of that help? Absolutely. A little bit. But I guarantee you're not going to become friends with like Stone Mountain or Tim the Tatman overnight. That takes a long time. Captain Redbeard and we talked a month or two ago? First time we brought him on stream as an actual, like, next week he's coming on. He's going to be more of a recurring guest. That took over a year to kind of get to that point. We don't just bring people in. Not that he would never ride my coattails. Anyways, he's got his own thing he's doing. So, but there's a lot of people that do. Don't get in the habit of trying to find people that are successful and getting in with them thinking that your path is going to be faster. Because it won't. You're going to be disappointed. You're not going to get what you want out of it. And you're going to be left feeling kind of miserable about the whole situation. It may even be resentful at the end. If you want to grow, network. Use it to build relationships, not numbers. Network to build relationships, not numbers. It's more important to build lasting relationships, friendships, and quality contacts of people that you admire, look up to, appreciate, respect. People that you can talk to and get along with. That matters. We talked about that earlier. To network is to build relationships, not numbers. If you're trying to build numbers, you're going to struggle to grow. We've grown faster on Twitch by really building a solid community, hanging out with the community, talking with them, becoming friends with them. I met several new people today on stream. Broke Dad Gaming was hopping in the stream today. I had so much fun hanging out with someone brand new. Sometimes personalities will clash, and sometimes you'll just find people that disconnect. But that's networking. That is relationship building. You're gonna no different than dating. If you're dating someone, you're not gonna just necessarily go with the first person that you date. You're gonna feel them out. Are they right for you? Are you right for them? If they're not, you just move on. That's what dating's for. Relationship building in this industry is the same way. Building lasting relationships that work for you and with you and for them. A relationship goes both ways as well. Understand this. If all you're doing is trying to bump up your numbers by going in and pretending to be a fake friend, which there are people that 100% do that in this industry, and we know a few, unfortunately, it's gonna end up being bad for you in the long run. Be genuine. A relationship goes both ways. It's a give and take. Doesn't mean that you have to go to all their streams all the time. Sometimes it's just hanging out. Sometimes it's just making sure you communicate and say how you're doing. I'm terrible with communication. I'm getting way better at it, but I have ADD to the point that out of sight, out of mind. If we've talked and in the moment, we're great. The moment we stop talking, I'm in the moment with whatever else is happening. So you're out of my mind at that point. It's one of the reasons why my dad lives 45 minutes away. I can text him any point in time. I never think about it because I'm usually focused. That's just where my mind's at. And some people deal with that. Some people have to talk to their parents all the time. Luckily, I talk to my mom every day. So, before we get to some of the final points of today, there's going to be highs and lows. Even as you grow. After you get to a certain point, it doesn't mean that it's just all uphill from there. There's highs and lows all the time. You're always going to have really, really good days. You're always going to have really, really bad days. And you're always going to have those days in between where they're just kind of like normal. That doesn't end. It's just the amount of impact reduces over time. But it's still going to happen. You can have 5,000 followers and have a day where it's only 2,500 viewers. As opposed to, when I say 5,000 viewers, is what I meant to say. You can have 5,000 viewers one day, and then the next week have 2,500. But to say that you don't feel that is wrong. You will 100% feel it no matter where you're at. And if someone that's at the beginning streamer goes, who complains about having only 2,500 viewers? People that are used to having 5,000. That's who. You feel it, and no matter what level you're at. But at the same time, they're going to celebrate the times when they reach that 10,000 viewer mark. Earlier on in your in streaming, it's tougher when you only see an average of 1 or 2. It's harder to celebrate the bigger victories when you go from 1 to 2 viewers, right? It's so much harder. And if you go from 10 viewers down to 5, it feels like the end of the world. I know. I have been there. You're like, I'm going backwards. This is stupid. This is bullshit. Why is everything going backwards now? We just got to an average of 10, 12 viewers. We're close to affiliate. And then that 5-day comes along and just kicks you right in the dick. It does. It kicks you so hard. You're just up there going, what did I do wrong? You start to internalize. You freak out. Well, we can't do that again because that was a bad day. But you don't know. You may not necessarily know why that day was bad. It could have been you streamed on a goddamn Easter or something. Or maybe it was just a day where people just weren't online. People are going on vacations. And the pandemic has been really weird. It helped and hurt a lot of people in the long run. Because there was a lot of time there where people were home. Nonstop. And then it started to end. And people's views went... Because people had to go do this thing called jobs. Now, that's a whole other topic in and of itself. But it can still be impactful. It doesn't matter what level that you're at. There's going to be really good days, really bad days, and you're going to have those normal days. The thing is sometimes those days last weeks. Sometimes it lasts longer than you want. You just have to be patient with the process. And understand there's also seasons in streaming as well. If you haven't realized that it gets a little slower around the holidays, well, newsflash, it's probably going to get a little slower around the holidays. So forewarn you now, prepare that it's probably going to be a little bit of a drop, if not a lot of a drop, depending on the kind of content that you stream. So, but before we finish up, we got a couple more things. We're going to start taking questions if you have them. But I want you to focus on, we talked about earlier, I want you to there's 3 main components if you want to grow. And this is not just in content creation. This is in every business. This is how I built my own business, my graphic design business. This is how probably I guarantee Mr. Albius built his business. The 3 major C's to grow: content or value. It's really what it is. You need a content or a product or a value that people want. You need to create content. If you're going to do content creation, you need to create content and good content. Just because you stream doesn't make you a good streamer. You need content that people want to see. Just like any other business, you need a product that people want to buy. You need to have a service that people want to pay for. If you don't have any of those things, they're not going to stick around. That's the main thing. If you don't have any of those things, people are not going to stick around. The second thing, community. If you're not networking, you're dead in the water. You need a network. You absolutely need a network. Build relationships. Talk with people. Build friendships. Make new friends. Make new acquaintances. Get out there and start talking with other people. Check out some of the smaller streamers out there. Just hang out with them. You know how many smaller streamers? I hate the word smaller streamer. I feel I'm so prestigious now. How many beginner streamers I've reached out to just to show support? We actually make it a day of it every week. On our Thursdays on our Twitch, we go and we rate a relatively struggling streamer, a newer streamer, just to give them a little boost and be like, hey, what's up? One of our taco vendor, he comes in my stream all the time now. It's a relationship. We didn't do it to bring him in. We did it to find new people, to show the community there's other streamers out there. And along the way, some of them stick around and we become good friends with them. And they become a part of their community. I'm not saying that's all you have to do. Relationships also means, you can go out and talk with real people in real life. Talk with people in the business world. The real world. Do we talk to people in the real world anymore? I don't think so. People are like, ew, no, I'm not talking to real people. I like my virtual friends. Screw you, Mighty. It's not a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea. I shun you. I unsubscribe already. Stupid first episode is dumb. Talk to real people. You have many different avenues you can do to build a community. Don't just focus on one area. Focus on one or two, of course. Like, make sure you have your main areas that you want to kind of like put your effort into. But there's many ways to grow a community. The final component, consistency. This is not rocket science. This is not something crazy hard. You have to be consistent. Without any of these, if you miss any three of these, though, you'll fail. You will. If you're not consistent, you're not going to grow. If you don't build a community, you're not going to grow. If you have shit content, you're not going to grow. You need to focus on creating good content. And that's what takes time. That's where most people get hung up. They're like, I'm not that great of a content creator. That's okay. You'll get better. Just keep doing it. Be consistent. Be consistent, build a community, and learn and adapt and grow. And as long as you're doing that, eventually things will come together. But you can't do the same thing over and over again if you're a shitty content creator. If you're boring, you have no personality, people can't talk to you, you're not good looking. Some of us don't have the blessings of boobs and like being able to fart into a microphone and make $1 million in a weekend. Some of us have to use personality to get by. That's how we survive. So, if you're not blessed with certain things that you can take advantage of, listen, you're gonna have to work some for it, okay? Now, there's a few common. We're gonna go through some of the common questions that three of the most common questions I get as a content creator, and I'm gonna take some of your questions if you have them about content creation. But some of the top three are: should I stream on multiple platforms, especially as a beginner streamer? Yes and no. I would say yes in the terms that if you don't know what platform you want to stick with, then stream on multiple platforms to find the platform that works best for you. I say this now as we stream on Twitch and also on YouTube, but I don't consistently stream on YouTube except for one day a week for now. And they're for very different reasons. It's completely separate content. The content that I do on Twitch is not the same content that I put here on YouTube. It's going to be very different, and it's done on purpose. If it was the same content, it would kind of be pointless, to be honest. If you're going to stream on multiple platforms, and we're talking about like Restream.io, the restreaming platforms where they can multi-stream and stuff, it does a disservice to your community, and it alienates them a little bit. And the reason why I say that, now, you can certainly have people join into the Restream.io and they can see there, but you know what? Most people won't. If they're going to be on Twitch, they're going to be on Twitch and watch you on Twitch. If they're going to be on YouTube, they're going to watch you on YouTube. They're not going to go to a third-party Restream.io to see all sides. So if you're having a conversation with someone on one platform, that's from one platform, the other platform has no idea what you're talking about, which alienates them. So my suggestion is, if you haven't figured out the platform that you want to be on, stream on one platform one day, stream on another platform another day, focus on building a community on those platforms. See which one you like most. And then choose one. Get really good at it. And if you want to add YouTube later on, kidding. I'm saying that because that's what we just did. If you want to add another platform later on, after you really nestled down and nailed down the one, then you can do that. But you don't need to stream on multiple platforms because you're going to do yourself a disservice and it's going to alienate your community. It's going to make them probably, it's going to be harder to grow a community because they don't feel involved. A community, the people that are watching your stream or your content, they want to feel a part of a community. They want to feel like they're part of what you're doing. And if they don't, they're going to go somewhere else that they do. I told you, Mr. Obvious. Yeah. It says it's hard to chat with two platforms. I tried Restream.io for 5 months. I don't recommend it. I mean, and plus on Twitch, you can't get affiliate. So what is the best platform to stream on? Kind of a loaded question because it doesn't really matter. Depends on you as a streamer. Depends on your goals, what you want to do. I can tell you, and we'll get to that. That's the next question. It doesn't really matter. It's a personal preference at this point. Understand that each platform has its pros and cons. There's not one platform that is... Now, Twitch is probably the most known for gaming, streaming. It's the number one platform out there. But with that comes a downside. It is a lot harder to... There's virtually no discoverability on Twitch. That's well known. There's virtually no discoverability on Twitch unless you already have a decent following or if you built it up. So people that are on Twitch, in order to really grow on Twitch, really need to rely on outside platforms, networking, Discord communities, YouTube Shorts. I know that pulling them over is going to be really tough, and it is. It really is. But you know what the most successful thing you can do if you're on Twitch is go out and start networking with other people on the platform. Because people on the platform are normally going to stay on the platform. So if you're out there and you just need a couple people and it will start to grow from there. So Twitch is the number one platform for streaming, but again, there's pros and cons. YouTube is making huge strides. The thing about YouTube is it's a little bit better on discoverability. Plus, it's also the number one search engine, pretty much, for videos in the world. There are more videos consumed on YouTube than any other platform. You got billions of people watching YouTube all the time. Now, the streaming aspects of it are still relatively new. So it's still kind of its infancy, but it's been coming out with a lot of updates. They're trying to really push up against Twitch and become a competitor. Facebook, same thing. Now, we started on Facebook. Facebook, I'm going to try to say this without knocking on Facebook. I'm not a big fan of Facebook. Facebook gaming and Facebook still has a lot of work. They are making strides to try to become, in that. I mean, that's why they announced Meta. They're trying to do some more VR stuff. They're trying to push more into that gaming, virtual reality side of things. They're pushing into it. Meta is the new company for the whole VR and metaverse, which is something completely different. But there are pros and cons of Facebook. Facebook, you can grow really fast. You get a lot of followers. You can get a lot of followers on Facebook pretty quickly. But the turnover rate is a little bit different there, right? So when you're on Facebook, I had 5,000 followers on Facebook from sharing into groups, and you can do advertising and boosting, which don't waste your money. I'll tell you that now. But people aren't on the platform on Facebook to watch games. Facebook is first and foremost a social networking platform. People are there to go in other different groups. They're there to scroll through their friends, talk to their friend that sells crystals and does Reiki, or argue politics. That's pretty much what Facebook, the newsfeed, and argue with their neighbors. That's really what Facebook's about. Most people are not going on there to watch games. So even though the platform has that opportunity, that's not the first priority of the platform. Twitch, that's all it does. YouTube, there's a lot of videos. While it's not entirely just for streaming, does other like offline content and your other videos, it's more geared towards the same thing. So Facebook is a little more out of touch of the three. But again, I've seen people have success on YouTube. People have success on Facebook. People have success on Twitch. Any one of those platforms you can find success on if you follow the three main things: content, community, consistency. You can find it. And what is the best category to stream on? What is the best category to stream on? Again, personal preference. As a newer streamer, I would definitely don't recommend streaming into the top 10 of any category for the platforms. Because again, discoverability, you're going to get overshadowed. You're going to fall into the bottom of the line. But I can tell you this, just chatting pretty much outperforms on every single platform. A just chatting station, some sort of like real talk or chatting, like the just chatting section in Twitch does well. Facebook does well. YouTube, it does well. That's a category that does exceptionally well on all three platforms. Gaming wise, it's really up to you. It's really up to you. That's the main thing. It's really up to you and what you want to do. So, but I'm going to take some questions from you guys. On Twitch, you cannot have affiliate. On Facebook, it hurts the recommendation algorithm. Though we're talking about the Restream.io. For me, the best is Twitch. It has an open API that can connect with different apps, widgets, bots, etc. Which is one of the reasons why I stream primarily on Twitch. With the YouTube, you don't see a lot of alerts popping up when things happen. I know that humanity tried it. And by the way, how you doing, humanity? The purpose of this is to get away from that. Now, on my Twitch station, there's so much that goes on there. You have all the different channel point redemptions. There's all kinds of stuff you can do, customizations. You can create a very extremely unique stream through Twitch. And YouTube is kind of catching up. But if you look at some of the third-party apps like Stream Elements, Streamlabs, there's not a whole lot for YouTube as compared to Twitch. Same with Facebook. The API for Twitch is just better suited for it. It's more well-known. You can do a lot more customization. Now, YouTube is coming a long way, and there's going to be more and more things coming out for it. Facebook's still struggling, but it has some new things coming out, like their stars and stuff that they've done. But in terms of third-party apps, widgets, bots, and things, it still struggles. I'm pretty sure that one of the main bots that was built for Facebook, I was reading this recently, and I might be wrong. I might be incorrect on this. But I think it was even causing people to get banned. It was banning people in their chats for like spamming. Like they were getting tagged for spamming because of like the auto post features and stuff in the bot you can set up. So chat can control certain aspects of your stream. It makes the stream more interactive. That's true. Devin Nash made a 1-hour video on this topic. It's scrolled. I'll have to check it out. What are your opinions on follow for follower support for support groups? Well, I know that Westfall knows my answer to this because Westfall's been around for a while. But follow for follow and support for support groups are essentially the same thing. I realize that this is more of an adult stream anyways. I try to keep it relatively PG, but it's essentially a giant circle jerk. As long as you're within a circle, you'll get something from it, but only if the other person is willing to do so. If that makes sense. If the other person, you can be over there doing your thing and doing all the work, but if that guy on your left doesn't want to do anything, you're not going to get anything from it. That is a follow for follow group or a support for support group. They're notoriously that they've never worked. In the history of network marketing, they have never worked. Not just in content creation, but in network marketing as a whole. As a business marketing plan, if it worked, there would be a lot more businesses doing it. But it doesn't work. The people that are it's a money grab for the naive and the people that are desperate. They want to grow fast and think they're going to boost their numbers, and it's going to hurt them in the long run too, especially on platforms like Twitch and Facebook. I don't know so much about YouTube because there's not really a whole lot of follow bots or stuff like that, but I know they have some for Facebook, not as many, but Twitch. If you use your follow bots, you get a lot of these robots that basically end up being your follows or, and boost your numbers. You can disqualify yourself from extra programs like partnership. We got follow botted for it was like 2,000 bots. Took care of it immediately. Keeping those in there just to kind of pad your numbers to make you look more superior, whatever it is you think it is, it's not going to benefit you. You're better off putting your time and effort and money into improving the content and quality of your stream than putting it into a follow for follow. And the support for support is the same thing. A raid for raid, same thing. They're gonna dress it up, much like the fitness industry, just like the pills and stuff. They dress it up and make it look fancy, and they try to woo you with all this technical talk of, oh, it's not a follow for follow. We're a support for support group. No, it's pretty much the same thing. The concept is the same. You are reliant on other people to create actions on your stream. And here's the thing. Do you think that any of those people give a shit about you or your content? They don't. So what's the point? Those people don't give one shit about your content or what you're putting out there. They're never going to come back. They're never going to come view your stream. They don't care. They just followed because that was in the rules. They had to. You want people to stick around. You want people to come on your stream and enjoy what you do. Be entertained and have fun and be like, dude, this guy's amazing. And they tell their friends. And they bring their friends and be like, yo, you got to check this guy out. That happened to me today. We had one of the funnest days on stream I've had in a while. Randomly. I don't even remember what we talked about. We talked about so much nonsense. It's insane. Those reactions, those people that come into your stream are invaluable. There was so much more than a follow fucking bot, man. No one gives a shit about the follow bots. Don't even bother with it. I know that Westfall knows this. He was just asking to get my response on it. So, but yeah, just don't bother with it. It's not even worth it. But to wrap it up, so this stream we happens every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is our, again, the name may change, currently titled MGD Real Talk Podcast. Next week, we're going to be joined with Captain Redbeard. The topic is yet to be determined, but every week, this stream is all about talking about, things that matter. It could range from mental health to relationships to whatever matters most as a topic that we're going to bring people in. We're going to be interviewing them, talking about them, about their journeys, and trying to pick people's brains a little bit more and just have a discussion that matters the most. But to wrap up today, first of all, let me say thank you to everyone that stuck around this entire stream. I appreciate you guys. I really do. The first stream, I told Captain before we went live, I'm like, I haven't been nervous before a stream in a very, very long time, but I'm actually nervous. And it's not like I haven't done this before. We talk every single day. I've done the interviews every single day. I've done these type of streams quite a few times. But for whatever reason, today I was just a little extra nervous. And I was like, this feels weird. I'm not used to being a little nervous before a stream. It kind of excited me a little bit more, though. I was like, maybe I'm outside my comfort zone a little bit. But I want to end with these final thoughts with you guys. Some questions that you should ask yourself on a daily basis. Things you need to think about before we leave. If you're struggling, you're trying to figure out what the next step is, what you want to do with your stream or your content or whatever that is, ask yourself, am I being consistent? If you're not, you know what to do. Ask yourself, am I building positive or negative habits by doing this? If you're building negative habits, maybe take some time back, pull some time away. Start building some positive habits, because if all you're doing is building negative habits, you're not going to be happy in the long run. The ultimate goal of everyone that wants to do this is to be happy. Does my beard look good? I sometimes care about that. Ask yourself, am I being realistic about my expectations? Am I being realistic about my expectations? Am I expecting things to happen faster than they really should be? Or should I just sit back, learn from the mistakes I'm making, but enjoy the process a little bit more? Enjoy the journey, both the good and the bad, which is probably the tougher thing to do. No one enjoys the bad parts. But if you learn to love them and expect them, it helps a lot. Am I getting distracted by ideas and other people's streams and other content creators? Am I too focused on trying to see what the next thing is? The grass is greener mentalities. Ask yourself that. We have a great friend of ours. Love him to death. The dude is the most ADD person when it comes to his content creation. Every week it's something new. I want to do this. I want to do this. I'm thinking about doing this. I want to do this. I saw this. I saw this. We're constantly telling him, reel it in, buddy. Reel it in. You got to slow it down. Focus on one thing. One or two things and just get good at it. If you try to do too much, it's going to be too much. Am I prioritizing my time for my goals? Are you spending all of your day doing things that don't matter? Are you prioritizing your time? And finally, am I being too hard on myself? That one's a tough one because everyone is hard on themselves. Everyone. There's not a single person that I know that isn't extremely critical of themselves in some one way or shape or another. But are you being too hard on yourself? Are you putting yourself down? Are you holding yourself back because you doubt your abilities? So ask yourself these questions every single day when you feel like you're struggling. See if you can move forward a little bit more. If you need someone to talk to, reach out to your friends. Hell, send me a DM on Discord. Like, yo, I'm struggling with this. And I might not have the right answer. I don't have all the answers. I'm gonna tell you that fucking now. I don't have all the answers in the world, and even then, what works for me may not necessarily work for you. Okay? There's more than one road to success. There's not one road that you need to follow in order to do things. There are certain actions you absolutely need to do, and we talked about them. Content, community, consistency. That's it. Other than that, if you want to go hump a camel on stream, you might get banned, but you can do that. You want to go fart in a microphone? Apparently that's a thing you can do, and it's perfectly acceptable. You can get a ton of views with that. Hot tub streams are a hot thing. There's not one way to succeed. And in content creation, that's the beautiful thing about this industry. There's so many different avenues. Some people make a killing cooking on stream. Some people just chat. Some people, again, they sit back in their chair. They got a low cut shirt on and boobs are exposed and they're just on their cell phone. They make a killing. There's more than one way to succeed here. You just have to find your own. And so we're going to wrap it up here, but I'm going to end with a couple things. Change is inevitable. Change is inevitable, but constantly changing is going to be damaging. Embrace change, but don't change too often. Find that balance. Figure out, change organically if you can. Figure out when to change, when it suits you, and when it doesn't. Second, shit happens. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you deal with it. You can control how you deal with the impact of it, and how you feel about it, and the attitude that you have towards it. That's one that you control, but you can't control the shit that happens to you. 2 more points. Failure. Everyone fears it. Failure is not to be feared. Embrace the shit. Failure is not to be feared, but embrace. Embrace it. You will learn more by failing than you realize. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fuck shit up every once in a while. Try something new. If it sucks, you learn something from it. Don't be afraid to fail. Try new things. Get a little uncomfortable. As we mentioned earlier in this episode, I'm doing things now that I never thought I would do a year ago. I've eaten crickets. I've eaten mealworms, which absolutely disgusts me. I'm doing things on stream. I'm wearing wigs. We're doing all kinds of nonsense that a year ago, my personality, my anxiety, and people pleasing, I never would have done it. I'm like, no, that's stupid. I would say it's stupid, but more, it would just make me too uncomfortable. Now, I don't give two shits. I'm like, we're gonna do it anyways. We might twerk on stream. We don't know. It's to be determined. Try new things. Don't be afraid to fail. And finally, let go of the notion. No, actually, I got to do. Let go of. I just really. I thought of one more thing to add on there. Let go of the notion that you deserve this. For one, you don't. You can work for it. Some of you may succeed. Some of you might not. But no one deserves it. I don't deserve success. You don't deserve it. This whole entitlement thing, this ego thing that people have. Oh, I deserve this when you didn't do shit for it. You don't deserve it. Get that out of your head. Work for it. If you get it, great. And if you do get it, be grateful. That was the end of what that was. It was like the second part of it. Be grateful for what you have. Be thankful for the opportunity to be able to do stuff like this. No matter what stage you are in. Because there's many others that don't have this opportunity. I'm super thankful that I get to do this. Full time. I'm a full-time content creator. Doesn't mean I stream full-time, but I'm a full-time content creator. I've put myself in a position to be able to do that. I'm extremely grateful and thankful to be able to do that. Because I know there's many people that don't have that opportunity, who wish that they could. So if you are doing this at any level, be grateful for it, be thankful for it, and, be happy that you have that opportunity. But I appreciate every single one of you guys. I really do. I know that during our morning shows and the random evening shows that we have on Twitch, it's a lot of random banter and torturing me and making me do silly things. But days like today really means a lot to be able to kind of sit down and just talk with you guys and have some real discussions. But we're about to wrap it up. But for those of you, I'm looking at somebody that might not be chatting and just kind of sitting the backside. I want to just say this before we say goodbye. Everyone has an innate ability to learn and build through repetition. Believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you'll do amazing things. And shit, you might even surprise yourself along the way. Just stick with it. Over time, things will get better. Just be consistent with it. Again, you have an innate ability to learn through repetition. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. And I think a year from now, you'll be surprised at what you can do. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. We'll be back next week hanging out with Captain Redbeard, talking about something. I have no idea. We're going to have a list of topics and things we're going to be talking about moving forward. But for the first show, I just wanted to get it out of the way. I appreciate all of you. Love you guys. We'll see you guys next week. And for those of you hanging out with me tomorrow in the Twitch, you can come hang out with us on Twitch. Twitch.tv/MightyGamerDad, where we got some more shenanigans and random shit happening tomorrow. But we'll see you guys later. I appreciate you all. And Albius, if you want, I don't know if our captain is still here or not. Hit me up. I'm in Pipeline. Hit me up in DM if you have more questions. I'm in Pipeline, so if you have more questions, hit me up in DM. We'll be able to help you out. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you guys for chatting and enjoying our first stream on YouTube. It's only going to go up from here, ladies and gentlemen. And maybe a few days it's going to be down. But have a good night. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.